Why? Didn't you say that this is for the people who have no way to gain paradise? He said, I did not give it to you to put it on, to use it yourself, but I gave it to you to benefit from it. So benefit from it in a number of ways. Either he could sell it, or he could give it to his wife, or he could give it like he had done to a non-Muslim, which is his brother. This is before he embraced Islam. That means he later on what? Embraced Islam. So before he embraced Islam, it is not haram for this person to put it on. So Umar, Jazallahu khairan, he just took me outside, but I had busy because I had a group of people coming as a guest. He asked me regarding this issue. Then why is it halal for me to give something which is haram for the men, and he is a man, is a kafir, then it's haram on him as well. Then I started telling him basically there's something haram in itself and not haram in for itself. For example, the alcohol, for example, a statue or a cross is haram in itself. But then he asks again, which is a question that poses a problem. So that means, can I, for example, now sell food which is halal in Ramadan? You remember that you said that to me? Halal food in Ramadan for a kafir person. Do you understand me? Then I said to him, I don't have time to explain because it needs time. And this is an important issue, Ikhwani, because this is based upon a principle where the scholars differed about it. And the principle is, هل الكفار مخاطبون بفروع الشريعة? Are the kuffar, the disbelievers, addressed by the sharia, which are branches, not by just Islam, even if they're not to be Muslim, but they've been asked to pay zakat, they've been asked what? To pray, they've been asked, okay, to fast Ramadan, even the kuffar. هل هم مخاطبون بفروع الشريعة? Majority of the scholars, they said yes. Some of the scholars, they said no. Like Abu Hanifa, he said no, they're not. Because anyway, the fasting is not required from them. Even if they fast, they're going to be acceptable. It's not going to be acceptable. That is consensus with the ones who said whether they are being addressed by the branch of the Sharia or they haven't. It's consensus that there's no zakah, no fast, no prayer being accepted from them. But the other ones, they said they still ask because of the proofs in the Quran. For example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said in the Quran, مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ? What made you to go to hellfire? قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُوا مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. They said, these kuffar, we were not praying. So they were not praying. وَلَمْ نَكُوا نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ. And we're not really feeding the poor people. And we know that if they prayed, the prayers what? Not going to be accepted because of the kuffar. But they were addressed by the what? By the branches of the Sharia. But this is the controversial, as I said, between the scholars. Now, what is the correct what is the correct opinion? Well, the correct opinion is actually in the middle. We don't really use this principle to apply it to say Hadith Umar al-Khattab is wrong. Because Hadith Umar al-Khattab is correct. He had given this to his brother. Now, some of the scholars were the ones who had said that the kuffar are addressed by the branch of the Sharia. They said he had given to his brother, so his brother will give it to his wife. Who said so? That's giving the hadith more than it is. To say that it's going to be to bring it to, or who he would sell it. But you give it to the kafir. The kafir, most likely, he's going to be what? Using it. When you give it to a kafir, disbeliever, he will use it whatever he likes. Says he will use it. So it's not correct to use that. There's another criterion by which we could use, inshallah. I'm asking Omar, if your wife is a Christian, you're allowed to pray. I'm just saying for the sake. And she's in your house. And it's in Ramadan. Would you shop from Asda to bring to the house? Will you deprive her from food the whole of the month? I'm asking. Deprive her. Make it it's sick. No. She has to become Muslim. You have to fast. You have to become Muslim. But but Allah Azza wa Jalla had allowed us to marry the non-Muslims. And when allowed it, you had married the non-Muslims, you didn't allow it. I'm going to starve you before. She's not going to marry you. She's not going to marry you. And we have people from the Sahaba. And we have people from the followers. They have married non-Muslims. And if it was the case that they prevented them from eating in the house, because they are eating in their own houses. No, you can't. You have to get out of the house because you are Nobody would do it. Otherwise, if they'd done it, it's been conveyed to us. But there's no conveying. I'm not asking. A non-Muslim who's an Arab does not understand English. Would you give him the Quran for him to read in order to embrace Islam or not? If he said no, how? If he said yes, then you're allowed him. He's a kafir. You're not allowing the Muslim who's got janaba to touch the Quran. Yet you're allowing the kafir to touch the Quran. Because there is two different terminology here. Kafir and a Muslim. And this is the saying of Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. So when the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Naha an yusafar, so the Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited for the Quran to be taken to the land of the adu, the enemies. And then he said at the end, قال مخافة, that is maybe the fear it will be humiliated. Like they will throw it in the bin, they will urinate in it. Do you understand me? Now the non-Muslims, the Quran for them at this, they could have it whenever they want. But the phrase at the end here, which is, in case they're humiliated. So if they don't humiliate it, if they want to benefit from it, then it's no problem. So when the Prophet ﷺ forbade us from taking the Quran to the land of the enemies, okay, then he had said, because it's a fear that they will humiliate it, that means it is that if they're not humiliated, if he's with you and he's an adu Allah, he's an enemy of Allah, but he's not going to humiliate you, want to read from it, it's no problem. So there's two types of kuffar here. Kuffar which are, they're going to humiliate my Quran, I'm not going to give it to him. Kuffar, they're not going to humiliate it, I'm going to give it to them, and I'm not going to implement upon them. Kafir, go and have a shower before you touch the Quran. You can't really implement that on every person who touches the Quran. So there's two rules apply here. And that's what we say. So the ones we're not allowed to give to the kafir, which is things haram in itself. I can't sell them crosses. I cannot sell them statues. I cannot sell, because they're haram in itself. I cannot sell them alcohol. Okay? Haram in itself. But something which is haram, the usage of it, just for the usage of it, then there's no problem to sell it to the non-Muslim, because the non-Muslim, like for example, now this is now coming to as well, feed the non-Muslim during the month of Ramadan. So he's coming as a guest, he's a non-Muslim. Can I give him food in the month of Ramadan? I can. It's haram on me because of the month of Ramadan. But I'm not encouraging him. It's different from a Muslim who is not fasting, I'm going to give him food. Unless he's got an excuse. He's ill, he's a traveler. You understand there's a difference. I'm not allowed to sell the Muslim something, as an innovator, that he will use it for his innovation. No, not allowed. But for the non-Muslim, because the kafir, he's not being addressed by the branch of the Sharia in the open like this. So as I said, it is not halal in itself or haram in itself. No problem for me to give it to them. And that is the criteria I have used for the hadith of Umar al-Khattab when he had given it to his brother. And as I said, so many companions have married to Christian women. We haven't heard that those Christian women, they've been deprived from the food in the houses of their companions, or they haven't been given some of the food by the companion. This is something, it's natural. It is a natural thing. Now, going back to the hadith of 193. And by the way, it looks like choosing the time after Maghrib is not before Maghrib is better, isn't it? So I don't know why. Did you find it late? Because you're going to come to Isha, and you're going to pray Isha, aren't you, Muhammad? Yes, it was people that don't pray Isha, people that don't pray Isha. So I thought shifting it between Maghrib and Isha would be better. So if you want to shift it back, I'll shift it back. We'll finish by Maghrib. Who wants it back before the Maghrib? Put your finger on. Got 1, 2?
Maghrib, Isha,
No, you have to be sure. So it's going to be 8 o'clock, from 8 tonight. 1, 2, 3. And who wants it after Maghrib? Please put your finger up. Okay, they say your majority. Hey, you Faisal, I haven't seen you for a long time. You look shining, mashallah, from Umrah. Mashallah, tabarakallah. Jazakallah khair. طيب, khair inshallah. طيب, alhamdulillah. Now let's go to the hadith 192. Hadith 192 is A'id ibn Amr, companion. He came to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. You know what's Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad? Anybody know what Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad? Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he was in charge of Al-Basra. Who is the one? Okay, he's the one who is commanded for the killing of whom? Al-Husayn radiallahu. So when Ibn al-Jawshan, he had killed Al-Husayn, it's by the command of Abdullah ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he had taken, after decapitated the head of Al-Husayn, and he took it, and he, with his rod, started poking it and poking the nose of it. This khabith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala treated him what he deserves. So he was killed, and his head was cut off, and it was put into the masjid, where everybody can look at it, and there was a snake, little one. They said, Ja'ad, Ja'ad. Everybody could say, it came, the snake. And he went into his eyes, out of his eyes, the other one, into his nose, just like the way that he done to Al-Husayn. Allah gave him the same treatment. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. This person is arrogant. So, Aid ibn Amr, he came to him and just give him an advice. Even he's a person, you should not give him being like leniency. A bit was Umar, he would have told him off. But this man, Aid ibn Umar, hayyin layyin. Why? Because he's talking to a person who's in charge. So he said to him, I've heard the Prophet ﷺ saying, Inna sharra ri'a, the worst of the shepherd, the worst of the leaders, al-hutama. Hutama is the one who's harsh to his camels. You know, the shepherd who's harsh to his camels, he does not feed them properly, does not give them the water, he punishes them. One day the Prophet ﷺ, he came, and there was a camel, came and prostrated before him, and his eyes like got watery. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Man sahibu hadal, who is the owner of this camel? Man sahibu hadal jamal. One of the youth, he said, me, Messenger of Allah. He said, Taqillah fi hadhihi al-bahima allati mallakaka Allahu iyaha. Fear Allah regarding this animal which Allah gave you the control of it, the ownership of it. For verily it complained to me that you are making him hungry and you are beating him. Taqillah. Now, not every time you see a camel who's got a watery eye, that means he's crying. Okay? This is only the Prophet ﷺ, he just knew that. So the Prophet ﷺ, he told him off. And that shows us that the person who's harsh to the animals definitely is going to be harsh to his people who's in charge of, like his family, like if he's a leader. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, any Amir who leads 10 or more, if you're leading of 10 or more, imagine if your family is 10 or more, and you are tyrant, you will come to the day of resurrection like this. You know, like the police put you shackles here, cuffed like this. Nothing will uncuff you except for justice. So you'll be, because of your injustice, you're going to be cuffed. Imagine the police. That's it. Anything you say, you're going to be taken down to court when you're cuffed on the day of resurrection. He came and he told him that this is the worst of leaders. That means don't be harsh with the people you're leading. So as soon as he said that, he said to him, inshallah, you're not going to be one of them. So I said to him, just sit down. It's like he doesn't care about him. He's a companion. He's the prince of the land. By the way, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he's not a follower. Not even his father is a companion. So he said to him, sit down. Saying to the companion, sit down. For verily, anta min nukhalati ashab. You know, if you heard the word Arabic, nukhala. Nukhala means you're rubbish. Nukhala is translation which was like the outside. What do you call it? What do you call it? Husk. You know when you go to the corns and the corn or the wheat, it's got the husk onto it. Yes. So that is nothing. The people, they throw it. It's not worth nothing. So you are the rubbish, nothing, insignificant from the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he said to him, the companion, was there any husk for the companions, the rubbish people? For very wallahi, the rubbish was after them and in other than them. He was after them and in other than them, not in them. The companions, we have said a number of times, we only say the good things regarding them. Always, لا يقال فيهم إلا الجميل نحبهم. That it is ونتقرب إلى الله بحبهم. We love them. And we get closer to Allah by the loving of them. And وَنُبْغِضُ مَنْ أَبْغَضَهُم. When we hate the one who hate them. or he had said something regarding them. Our companions, these are our ambassadors to the deen. And remember, the Rafidah, they're not after the, I would say, just the Quran, or after the your companions. No, they're after your deen. They want to completely demolish Islam. Allah al-Musta'an. In this hadith, we could see the number of benefits. Number one, that the companions are abiding themselves by enjoining good and forbidding evil. That's the companion coming to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. We could see here that he came to a leader and he told him in front of him. He did not go to somebody else and he said, look at Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad is doing, and look, let's just make a protest against him in the street and make an article. He went to him. And the following hadith is going to tell us about, in the hadith afterwards, he's going to tell us the best of the words, the best of jihad is to say a word of haqq in front of the tyrant leader. So he came to him to admonish him. And the Sahaba, according to the companion, all of them are to be the best of the people. لَيْسَ فِيهِمْ نُخَالَ. There's nothing rubbish in them, husk in them, no way. And he as well was very soft. The best of the people to the people is to be soft. طيب. Now after this we're going to go to the following hadith, which is hadith 193. Now,
Hadith 193, Hudayfa radiallahu anha reported, and who reported, the Prophet ﷺ said, by him in whose hand my life is, you either enjoy good and forbid evil, or Allah will certainly soon send his punishment to you. Then you will make supplication and it will not be accepted. Reported in Tirmidhi.
Right. Now this hadith tells us that enjoining good and forbidding evil is compulsory. By the one in whose hand is my soul. Another benefit is that Allah subhanahu, Allah's messenger, he does alternate in the way that he makes an oath. By Allah, by the one in whose hand is my soul. Makes it, alternate between making the oaths. As long as it is halal, correct, you're not saying an oath by your father or your mother. So no problem. So remember what Aisha, she made an oath by what? Anybody? She's a very nice oath she's got, yeah? Yeah, by the one who beautified the men with the beard. Allahu Akbar. I like that one. By the one, Allah, the one who beautified the men with beard. That's how the women whom their fitrah is with them. The women these days, they want them men to be like them. No hair, no nothing. Allah al-Musta'an. طيب. So also that is to show us that the amr bil ma'ruf and nahy al munkar is the safety. Because the Prophet, he said, either you enjoy good and forbid evil, or Allah going to give you what? A punishment. So the security from the punishment of Allah is to have enjoying good and forbidding evil. And the punishment is so severe, and that is Allah will not respond to your dua. فَلَا يُسْتَجَابُ لَكُمْ. Imagine. You don't know dua you're going to be. And not only that, you will find that the punishment will not just encompass the ones who are bad. No, it will get the one who is good, because you did not enjoy good and forbid evil. So you are good, but you're not enjoying good and forbid evil, like Banu Israel, what they've done. You remember what they've done? They have, at the time, they would say, it is bad. And then after that, they see him doing again, they doesn't say anything. So the evil increased and prevailed. And that's why Allah Azza wa Jal had punished them, and they were cursed on the tongue of Dawood and Isa alayhi salam. They were cursed because of that, because they don't enjoy good and forbid evil. طيب. You could see here as well that the person can make an oath without him being asked to make an oath. Because the Prophet, nobody asked him to make an oath. He said, by the one in whose hand is my soul. He made an oath. Can I make an oath on everything? No. You could make an oath on something which is deserved to make an oath, like this, something like this, major, something. But when I make an oath, I'm selling you the mobile. By Allah, this mobile does this and this. By Allah, my glasses does this. And by Allah, my car runs like a gazelle. By Allah. Prophet ﷺ, he said, make an oath for selling. It will let your sale go quickly. Not in this country. They don't believe you here. Okay, between Muslims. It will make your goods sell quickly, but it will remove the what? The barakah. No barakah. So you get the money, you get no barakah for the money. So you're not supposed to make an oath on something which is insignificant unless you're being asked. If you've been asked to make it emphasize, did you put the water here? Nobody's here. Come on, by Allah, did you put the water here? Do you understand me? That's significant, but you've been asked now. You've been asked to make an oath because I want to emphasize it, because I want to know who to put this water here. Is this somebody else or you? Or, that's even significant, but because I've asked you. But just, why Allah? Nobody asked you to make an oath. Why should you make an oath about the water? It's only something significant. وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, by the one who's an hand in my soul. Allah will give you a punishment if you don't enjoin good and forbid evil. Emphasis. لَتُسَوُّنَّ صُفُوفَكُمْ, by Allah, either you straighten your rows in the prayer, or Allah would put split amongst your hearts. That's a very major thing. That's the Prophet ﷺ is to make sure that it is impact. طيب. And here as well, we could find that the person who makes an oath, makes a command of the good and enjoin good and forbid evil, he should be doing it for the sake of Allah, not for the sake of revenge, not for the sake of showing off. Like that man who said to the other person, Ya akhi aksar, stop drinking. He said to him, just khallini wa rabbi, leave me with my Lord. He said to him, Wallahi la yaghfir Allahu lak, Allah will not forgive for you. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Man dha alladhi yata'alla alayhi. Who is speaking on my behalf? For verily, I have forgiven him and I put you in the hell. The one who said, by Allah is not going to forgive you, that one is going to go to the fire. And the one who will be drinking is going to go to paradise. Why? Because he said to that man, leave me with my Lord. That means I believe in my Lord, ya akhi. Abu'ithta alayya raqiba. Did Allah send you a watcher, a watch over man on me? Did he watch over me? So he knows, he knows the tawheed, but he's just sitting. You told me your nasiha khalas, but now you're saying that Allah's not going to forgive for me. Why? Paradise and hell is in your hands? No, it's not. It belongs to Allah Azza wa Jal. So the person who wants to enjoin to good and forbid evil, he has to be like the doctor, the physician. Do it in the right way. We're coming now to Hadith 194, please.
Hadith 194, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anh reported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best type of jihad, i.e. striving in the way of Allah, is speaking a true word in the presence of a tyrant ruler. Reported Abu Dawood and At-Tirmidhi.
Right, so the best of words, the true word said to be with the tyrant leader is the best of jihad. So the jihad is what? Ranks. So the best, less than the best, okay, just ranks. So the al-jihad is ranks. Now, when you give the correct word, the kalimat al-haq, to the sultan who is a tyrant, with his ears, in his presence, this is the best of the jihad. And also, enjoining good and forbidding evil tells us it's from the jihad. It is jihad. It's not jihad just only for the sword. So enjoining good and forbidding evil is jihad. And the best of the jihad is to give an advice to the sultan who is tyrant, to go to him. And also that it is permissible to go and talk to the sultan regarding this issue, to enjoin good and forbid evil between you, as long as you are able to do that. So it's no problem, but not in front of the people. Not by embarrassing him by an uprising or a protest, or writing an article, or making the people to hate him. He's not going to give you a sweetie. He might put you in prison, or he might kill you. This is now a conversation took place between two companions. Hisham ibn Hakim wa Riyaad ibn Ghun. Two companions. Riyaad ibn Ghun, he was a leader, a sub-leader. Hisham ibn Hakim was not. So when a place called Dara, the mayor of Dara, he done something bad. So what he did, Riyaad ibn Ghun, he whipped him, lashed him, because of what he'd done wrong. So Hisham ibn Hakim, he said to him, aren't you fearing Allah? Why are you doing such a thing? Didn't you know the Prophet ﷺ said, the one who's going to be most severely punished is the one who severely punishes the people in this dunya? The most severely punished, that means in the day of resurrection, is the one who is mostly severely punished punishing the people in this dunya? So Riyaad ibn Ghun, the leader, he said to him, he said, we have heard whom you have heard. And we have seen whom you have seen. That means that we have accompanied whom you have accompanied. You're a companion of a companion. But didn't you hear the Prophet ﷺ saying, He who wants to make an advice or give an advice to a sultan, to a leader, then let him take hold of his hand and let him go and isolate himself with him. Nobody can hear him. And let him not to show it openly, like you did to me in front of everybody. Not to show it openly. Then if he had taken the nasiha, the advice from him, alhamdulillah, he said. But if he didn't, then you have accomplished, you have fulfilled your duty. Then he said, come on Hisham, aren't you afraid that you do such a thing and then the Sultan will kill you and then you will be labeled the killed person of the Sultan of Allah, the killed qatilu sultanillah, because Allah told us to obey, hear and obey. So if the Sultan going to kill you, you're going to be labeled the killed person of the Sultan of Allah. So he told him, you're not correct in your advice. It's not supposed to be in front of everybody. If you took me an advice on your own, yes. But you're telling me off like this. طيب. Person, when he gives an advice to the leader in front of him, we said is the best of the words. But you have to be as well able to bear the consequences. The leader might like it from you. Maybe the confidant, the confidant, when we close people to the leaders, may well make the leader punish you, put you in prison. So the Prophet, he said at the same time, لا ينبغي للمؤمن أن يذل نفسه. It is not correct for the believer to humiliate himself. قالوا يا رسول الله. They said, Messenger of Allah, وكيف يذل المؤمن نفسه? Now how does the believer humiliate himself? He said, أن يحملها من البلاء ما لا تطيق. That he would bear himself something which he cannot take. So if you can't take it, why? You're a person, you are very sort of soft. You might be put in the prison, you're going to shave your beard. So you came with a beard, mashallah, and upon the sunnah you came out, disbelieving in the sunnah. Why should you do that? So you have to be careful as well. Are you able to take the punishment, the consequences? Remember, the more of things that you put in your shoulder, the more you have to take it. That's why the best of the words of jihad, so the best of jihad is the word of haqq in front of the Sultan, because of the consequences you might bear. And because you got the best of ranks of jihad, that means you are the best of the people. And the more elevated you are, the more tested you are. Do you understand that? Okay. The more, so the prophets, they will be tested more. Do you understand that? Why? Because their religion is more. And that tells me as well something. There's no such thing, musawa. You know what's musawa? Equality. They call it equality between the man and the woman. No such thing, ya akhi. How could you have equality between the man and the woman? How? There's no equality in between you. I want to be like a prophet. Can you be like a prophet? You can be like a prophet. So the more rank you are, the more things you're going to be doing. That's why Allah will put the men on top of the women. Daraja. Bima faddal Allahu. What Allah will favor the men for the women with the daraja. So the man is not equal to the women. They can't be. Just like the ignorant cannot be equal to the knowledgeable. Like the one, the blind, cannot be equal to the non-blind. Can we equalize ourselves with the animals? Now imagine that we have to have equality with the animals now. Equality with animals. Equal rights, akhi. How can it be? Okay, now equality between an engineer and a person who's not learned. It cannot be. They're not equal. So each person is different. It's a lie that they're running it, and the women, unfortunately, falling for this. So instead of now being honored and looked after, they are the ones cooking, and also they are the ones working and the breadwinning winners, and also on top of that, they are giving birth to us and looking after the child. What is this? And they say this is freedom for the women. That's a humiliation. That's actually fooling the woman. The woman should be looked after. The man should be going looking, bringing her everything, and this is your queen, the queen. It's the queen of your house, but they're making her that queen, making her everything, and she thinks that this is by this way she is more independent or better. No, she's not. Right, coming back now to the hadith itself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wants good to the leader, He will give him good confidence. Did you call him confidence? Bitana. Confidence, the ones who close people to Him. So this confidence that they're good, they'll first of all enjoin good and forbid evil. Leader, you're doing wrong. Leader, you're doing good. And also, they will soften his heart towards his people whom he's leading. But the other ones, which are the bad confidants, is the ones who will make the evil in the eyes of the leader to be what? MashaAllah, doing very well. But they're not doing very well. And at the same time, when the leader is punishing his people, they say, you're doing the right thing. So making the hearts of the leader harsh against the ones whom he's leading. So we have now 4 words. Kalimatu haqq, a truthful word, عند سلطان عادل, with the just leader. This is an easy one. You've got a just leader, you go and tell him, MashaAllah, but I think you've done wrong here. He will accept from you because he's a just leader. Second one, kalimatu batilin عند سلطان عادل, that you say a false word, wrong thing, in the presence of a just leader. And this is very dangerous. You are trying to drift the leader from the straight path. You are from the bad confidants. Third one, kalimatu haqqin inda sultan al-jar, a true word in the presence of a tyrant leader. This is the best of jihad. The fourth one, kalimatu batilin inda sultan al-jar, and that is to say a false word to somebody who is a tyrant leader. You're making him worse, and that's a bad confidant as well. So you've got 4 words we have discussed here. طيب, 195, which is exactly like 194, but just read it.
Hadith 195, Abu Abdullah Tariq bin Shihab radiallahu anh reported, a person asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he had just put his foot in the stirrup, what is the highest form of jihad? He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, speaking the truth in the presence of a tyrant ruler, reported in Nasa'i.
Right, so we're going to this is 196 now.
196, Abdullah bin Masud radiallahu anh reported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the first defect in religion which affected the children of Israel in the way that man would meet another and say to him, fear Allah and abstain from what you are doing, for this is not lawful for you. Then he would meet him the next day and find no change in him, but this would not prevent him from eating with him, drinking with him and sitting in his assemblies. When it came to this, Allah led their hearts into evil ways on account of their association with others.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لُعِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ عَلَى لِسَانِ دَاوُودَ وَعِيسَى بْنِ مَرْيَمَ. Meaning?
Then he recited, those among the children of Israel who disbelieved were cursed by the tongue of Dawood, David and Isa, Jesus, son of Mary, son of Maryam, Mary.
ذَلِكَ بِمَا عَصَوْا وَكَانُوا يَعْتَدُونَ.
That was because they disobeyed Allah and His Messenger.
كانوا لا يتناهون عن منكر فعلوه لبئس ما كانوا يفعلون.
And they were transgressing beyond bounds. They used not to forbid one another from munkar, i.e. evil doing, sins, polytheism, disbelief, which they committed.
Did you have another translation? ترى كثيرا منهم يتولون الذين كفروا لبئس ما قدمت لهم أنفسهم. You have got that as well?
I think yes. Vile indeed was what they used to do. Is that right? You see many of them taking disbelievers as their awliya, i.e. protectors and their helpers. Evil indeed is that which their own selves have sent forward before them. For that reason Allah's wrath fell upon them, and in torment will they abide.
خلاص, you finished the verse?
And they believe, and had they believed in Allah and them and in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and in what that has been revealed to him, never would they have taken them, the disbelievers, as awliya, protectors and helpers. But many of them are the fasiqun, rebellious, disobedient to Allah.
I think you finished the verse now. Yeah. So then he said as well, do you have a narration?
Yes, then he continued, nay, by Allah, you either enjoy good and forbid evil and catch hold of the hand of the oppressor and persuade him to act justly and stick to the truth, or Allah will involve the hearts of some of you with hearts of others and will curse you as he had cursed them. Abu Dawood and Tirmidhi.
Okay, right. Do you have any continuation?
There's another wording in Tirmidhi.
Yes, Abu Dawood and Tirmidhi.
Yeah. The wording in Tirmidhi is, Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when the children of Israel became sinful, they learned men prohibited them, but they would not.
The learned men prohibited them, yes. So the scholars.
The scholars, yet the learned men associated with them and ate and drank with them.
So they forbade them from doing, but they later on they have started to accompany them. So what's the point now?
So they were cursed at their tongues of Dawood and Isa, and
Allah struck their hearts with each other, isn't it, against one another, and cursed on the tongue of Dawood and Isa, the son of Mary, because of their
disobedient and were given to transgression. At this stage, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who said, reclining on a pillow,
He was sitting and then he reclined, yes, and then
reclining, and he sat up and said, no, by him in whose hand my soul is, there is no escape for you,
until.
but you persuade them to act justly.
Okay, right. This hadith, I just set him to read it, but it's not authentic. It's not authentic. But the meaning of it is 100% sound because it goes with the principle that we have learned. So it's not authentic, it's da'if. So 196 is da'if, but the meaning of it 100% sound because it just shakes hand with the hadith before and the hadith after. What is the hadith after?
197, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh reported,
Which is the last hadith of the chapter of enjoining good and forbidding evil. Now,
O you people, you recite this verse, O you who believe, take care of your own selves. If you follow the right guidance and enjoy what is good, Islamic monotheism and all that Islam orders one to do, and forbid what is wrong, polytheism, disbelief, and all that Islam has forbidden, no hurt can come to you from those who are in error. Verse 105, Surah 5, verse 105. But I have heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, when people see an oppressor but do not prevent him from doing evil, it is likely that Allah will punish them all. Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi.
right, so here Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh is saying, O people, you are reciting an ayah, which is, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, alaykum anfusakum, just keep to yourself, concern yourself with yourself. لا يضركم من ضل إذا اهتديتم. You will not be harmed if anybody had gone astray. They're not going to harm you. Let them go astray. So he said, you've read this ayah, but you're not understanding it properly. For verily, I've heard the Prophet saying, if the people see the zalim, the tyrant, yet they don't really hold on to his hands, I mean stop him from his tyranny, then Allah will encompass all of them. He will overcome them with a punishment. This punishment will not just take the ones who were bad, even the ones who were good, but they did not enjoy good and forbid evil. This hadith tells us that we have to contemplate the Quran. It's not just for us to read it and understand it superficially. You understand me? Superficial, that means outwardly. We have to go deep and understand it, not superficial. And so we have to contemplate the Quran and read it and according to the meaning. So if we read it like this, I'm not concerned of a person who's misguided. No, the ayat means it doesn't concern you if he's being misguided after you have fulfilled your duty, which is what? Enjoining good, forbid evil. So if you have seen a person bad and enjoying good and forbid evil and he does not listen to you, then khalas, you've done what you've said. But it doesn't mean from the, I'm not concerned with him. Whether he's misguided, go to hellfire, or he's guided, it's not going to concern me, but I don't enjoy good and forbid evil. No, Allah will punish me. And also here that it is prohibited to interpret the Quran according to your opinions. I'm not talking about the Arabic language here. No, you can use the Arabic language. But your opinions and your desire. No, you have to look in the other ayat. That's why you need the scholars and the other hadith to explain it. And also the ummah, they need to also enjoin one another to do the haqq. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and enduring patiently. So the all ummah, they are encouraging one another to make sure that they hold on to the haqq and to be patient on holding to the haqq. And also we find from this ayah, then this hadith of Abu Bakr and the hadith that he heard from the Prophet of Allah, that when the punishment comes, it does not just come to the ones who are the wrongdoers. As Allah He said, وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَّةً. Fear a fitna, a punishment that will not just strike the ones who have been zalim, fasiq, bad. No, it will even encompass you, the good ones. Okay? That's why when you pass by a land where there's a punishment, what are we supposed to do? Run, isn't it? So we marartum bi ardi. For example, you pass by the land of Thamud, by the land of Ad, okay, by the land of Lot. You should be what? Either weeping, back, and with the hood, like he said, the hood, covering yourself, and running, because in case the punishment gets you. Okay? But if you want to contemplate, yes, but not to go for tourism, just like for tourism. No, it's not correct to go for tourism. But now we have to make sure that the ones who are ignorant do not run the show. Ya ikhwani. رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا بِمَا فَعَلَ السُّفَهَاءُ مِنَّا. Oh Lord, do not take us on account or hold us on account for what those people who are ignorant do. Because these ignorant people, all the ones who are running the show, These are the ones who are now running the show. Why be the news? All of this news that we have, Jazeera, CNN, they're running the show. They're running the show. That's Allah al-Musta'an. Not the scholars. They don't. Yeah. How many people listen to that, and how many people listen to the students of knowledge? Compare them. It's not even a percentage. Once we start listening to our scholars, then the ummah will be triumphed. طيب, we stop here, inshallah. This is now the end of the chapter, and inshallah we're talking in the following chapter. Bi'idhnillah. What time is it? Yes. So the prayer is about 11 o'clock. We've got 15 minutes. We're going to have half an hour and that's it. So if you have any questions regarding what we have heard, please go ahead. Jazakumullah khair. Or anything that you want to, something to do with the deen, please. And the one from the question from upstairs, please send it to, if you have the number, Shakil of Abid. Jazakallah khairan. Fadl Abid.
Sheikh, just wanted a clarification on addressing the ruler in private. So I've come across a couple of hadiths now. I'm not sure about the authenticity.
Go on.
The first of which is Abdullah, I think Umar bin Khattab, he got two garments, and then he explained my son gave, Abdullah bin Umar explained, my son, I gave it to my father because it's too tall. But the man then addressed him in public. Why have you got two garments? So a man, I don't know if it was a Bedouin man.
I can't remember the call the authentic. I don't know the story properly, but anyway, that even if it's authentic, and I don't think so, even if it's authentic, it doesn't really take away the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, if you want to give an advice, that's clear hadith. So if that man, he did something wrong, that doesn't mean Abu Umar al-Khattab had approved it, or the Prophet ﷺ had approved it. So you cannot take from there, but you could have just said, Abu Bakr himself said, or Umar himself, he said. Like there's one, which is Abu Bakr on top of the pulpit, he said, if I go wrong, then correct me. That is not authentic, because it's authentic, it carries a weight. Abu Bakr in front of the companions, when he took the leadership, then if you have gone astray, then qawwimuni, correct me. That one is not authentic. But even if it's authentic, but it's not authentic, then he said qawwimun, that means not in front of the pulpit, go to the pulpit and give another pulpit next to it, and down, Abu Bakr, down, Abu Bakr. That's not correct. Yeah, that's not correct. No.
The other hadith was Umar bin Khattab, again, the man, I think he was and I was straight to you.
I'm just saying, a man, the man, it does not count as a proof because of the man. But if you said Umar al-Khattab, he himself done that. Yes. Yeah, then he carries a weight. That man is not known. He's a Bedouin, whatever he is. No, doesn't carry a weight. Fadal. No, he was not telling. He was saying son, his own. Telling him on his own. But that person doesn't want to take advice from this companion. He said to him, you are nukhala. You're nothing, insignificant. And nobody looks at you. SubhanAllah, there was no nukhala in the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. He didn't talk about himself and companion should be. He is the prince of the land. So when we have, for example, one of the followers, he had seen the companions, Fudal his name. He saw him, he said, Marhaban bi Amir al-Ard. Welcome for the prince of the land. Why do I see you with disheveled hair? And also barely footed. So he's got no shoes and he had his hair not combed. Why? And you are the prince of the land. You are the. Why are you walking like this? He said, Amarana Rasulullah. Prophet ﷺ prohibited us. Nahana an yatarajjala rajulu ghub an yatarajjala ghub illa ghubba. That the person should not comb his hair except not frequently. So if you are going to be combing your hair, not frequently, that means, please, when you go out, it's not, hang on a second, this hair has to be on top of this one. And the other on top of it. You look at some of the people, they can't go until they're in the mirror, exactly like a photograph doesn't change all the time. And then he would put a spray, make sure that it does not move. And if he moves a bit, he goes back to the mirror, you know. I'm not talking about women, even men. Okay? True or not? Especially the teenagers. So that we should not preoccupy. And the Prophet also, he said, "Ikhshawshanu." Be harsh, be hard. Don't be like a, don't touch me. What is this? Be a man, yeah. Be a man. Ikhshawshanu. Be a man. Ikhshawshanu. Naam, Jazakallah khair. Any other question? Do you have any questions? Please look at the.
At the moment.
I'm just today. I'm reading the number of people that are not really as encouraging. So we'll see, inshallah, what's going to happen next week. So it's going to be after Maghrib. I'm sorry about the ones who asked me to do it before, but we have more. It's not democracy, by the way. This is shura. This is shura. طيب. تفضل. Yeah, no problem. Can the person combine for a need? For a need. I would say the children, yes, they can. Definitely. 12, 13, 14, because they've got school and all of that. They combine Maghrib and Isha. Even the Maghrib for them is late. 9:30 is going to be 9:35 Maghrib. And our Isha is going to push until 11:29 this year. 11:29, that's the maximum. So I would say women who are so tired, old women, yes. But the young ones, men, women, I mean, 11:30, I don't think is for them. Some of them is. The problem is, I've seen masajid they do combination in the north for the following months, middle of May until middle of July. They combine. But the problem is, after they combine, some of them stay in the masjid and chit chat until the time where it's supposed to be, not because it's too late. But for them, but I understand in the north, it jumps up to more than 12 o'clock, midnight, the Isha prayer. In Glasgow, more than 12, definitely 12:30 Isha. So that is understandable. You could really make a jama'ah combination. At home, if you felt so tired, you cannot really, and you have to have, then this combination is understandable. But as I said, the more youth you are, the more required you are, to wait to do that prayer. At the moment, it is 11:01 or 11:02. 11 o'clock today. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. It's going to get worse until the 21st of June. That's the maximum. That's the longest day. Then after that, it will go down. So following month timetable is a bit tough and rough. Okay. And by the way, there's a timetable outside. Did you take one? Inshallah. Did you see it? What is the latest time in the Isha? And Fajr, by the way, relaxing. 3:45. It's going to be staying the same time. خير إن شاء الله. تفضل.
Can you explain making only one ghusl for Eid compared to making two for Jum'ah when
Jum'ah is on the Eid day?
Two for Jum'ah when Junub.
Maybe when Junub. When Junub, not Junub. Right, so when Junub. Two ghusl. No, if you want, she's saying, why is it two ghusl for the day of Jum'ah, Imam Junub, and Janaba, and two ghusl, and one ghusl for the Eid? We said compulsory ghusl does not suffice another compulsory ghusl. And we believe that ghusl of the Jum'ah is compulsory. And also we believe that, and that is consensus, to have a ghusl for the Janaba. So if you are on Janaba and it's the day of Jum'ah, one ghusl will not suffice for both. If you did it, you will be sinned because you did not. Your prayer is valid. So you start with ghusl janaba in the same ghusl, and then you start a new one for ghusl Jum'ah. But she's saying, or he's saying, what about the ghusl of the Eid? The ghusl of the Eid, ikhwan, is not compulsory. There's no scholar who said ghusl al-Eid is compulsory. Okay, ghusl al-Jum'ah. There's no hadith to say ghusl al-Eid. So that's why you could combine the sunnah with the fard. So for example, if I'm praying, so I'm making ghusl of the Jum'ah, of the Janaba, which is compulsory, I could combine with it the ghusl of the Eid, no problem. If I want more reward, I would have two ghusl as well. Ghusl, first of all, Janaba, and a ghusl which is sunnah for the Eid, but it's not compulsory to do that ghusl. I could make it in one. No problem, ya ikhwani, to lump sunnah, fard intention with a sunnah intention. No problem. So for example, I didn't pray Tahiyat al-Masjid. The prayer of the Dhuhr, I add as well Tahiyat al-Masjid with that. No problem to add sunnah with a sunnah. So for example, I'm doing the sunnah of the Fajr, including as well, I put sunnah for example, of the wudu, including as well the sunnah of Tahiyyat al-Masjid, I could include that in 2 rak'ah, no problem. If you want more reward, it's 2 each, but no problem. But fard and a fard cannot be combined. So, aqiqah is fard. Making the udhiyah is fard. I cannot bring 1 sheep, that is my aqiqah, and it's also my what? My udhiyah. No. 1 sheep for the udhiyah. Even this, mashallah, my udhiyah became the 7th day after the birth of my child. No. You have to have another one for my child. Okay? It does not suffice because both of them are compulsory. Now. And one question from there? Jazakumullahu khairan. I'm going to get me inshallah early. I need to have food as well before Isha prayer. Subhanakallah bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. That gives you plenty of time. You could leave as well before. That's where we're going to be at 1 hour exactly after Maghrib, 1 hour, and that's it inshallah.